Better than TV. I like it. Hey, Barry Lee, how you doing? Welcome to Zenny62. A little later than I intended to start. We were going to have Noel Guile on tonight, but I candidly think he forgot or something because I called and he didn't pick up his phone. Now, I want to say something for those of you who think you understand how media works, but don't, okay? It's not any embarrassment to me if the council member doesn't pick up or forgets, or if somebody maybe tried to talk him out of it. It's actually, that's just the way things go. You go back and you reschedule, you have a conversation. Uh, I said that all that in the context of this week that passed because not having anything directly to do with what I'm about to talk about with respect to the draft at all, but I got into a disagreement with a friend of mine, a longtime friend, Annie Campbell Washington, who was a council member, where I disagreed with her motives for stating why she was quitting the Oakland City Council. She was blaming it on another council member, Desley Brooks, and I 1,000,000% object to that kind of public airing of grievances between council members when you have people who are homeless who are just trying to figure out where they're going to be able to stay alive, and they can bicker about what are really just uh, issues because someone has a fragile ego and doesn't like how they think Desley talks with them when Desley is just blunt. Okay, there is an idea I've had in my head about the Bay Area for quite some time, even though I've lived in the Bay Area for most of my 55 years since I was 12, and that's people in the Bay Area and in California tend to be really sensitive, whereas people in New York are not so sensitive, and you can argue and disagree and have a friend that you argue with and disagree with, but you're still friends, right? In the Bay Area, you have to have this like-minded thinking, and if you don't, if it's like not perfectly matched, oh, they get upset and everything. Okay, that problem seeped into Oakland politics, has seeped in Oakland politics in a big way, and it makes it difficult to get anything done. Okay, and at a time when Oakland needs to move forward, the market has taken over Oakland, made it overpriced. The city is ran by Democrats, so this is not an issue of Republicans trying to take over or doing something that's not for the poor. This is an issue of Democrats not doing something for the poor, and it is to anybody who buys the idea, and it is a purchase of social justice and government is social justice, and the idea that Democrats practice government as social justice. What is going on in Oakland is a complete indictment against that idea. Okay, it doesn't follow at all in Oakland that because you're a Democrat, you actually care about the issues of the poor. It's more like, hey, you're poor. We're not going to help you not be poor. In other words, we're not going to give you money to get you out of poverty. We're going to make it comfortable for you to remain in poverty. That's the new mantra. That's ridiculous. And I'm not saying that someone should be made uncomfortable. No. I'm saying that, look, in the case of the homeless, give them $3,000 per person to give them options. You could either move into a roommate situation with somebody else, or maybe you need to move out and be with family someplace else. $3,000 is an excellent jump start. Or maybe you want to remain where you are with $3,000 and the idea that, hey, you'll build on that cash, and save a little coin. I get that. But my point is, give them the $3,000 so that at least they have some currency and some money that gives them some flexibility. Because the basic bottom problem is money. All right? It's money. It's always money. And it is a classic example of the horrible distribution of wealth issue. So you have, all right, and so you have Annie who says, well, I can work a part-time job. Folks, she was hired as the assistant dean of the Goldman School of Public Policy at the University of California at Berkeley. That does not sound like a part-time job to me. And I think the Goldman School would take offense to their position being advertised as this something you do part-time The students, I know for a fact, sure as hell, do not want somebody saying to them, hey, I'm just a part-time player in the business of running the school that you pay money to go to. And I'm the assistant dean. For her to say that was a bad look. So it's in that context this week that I come and I'm, making these comments about Oakland politics, and it just is, excuse me. It's frustrating to watch. It really is. As Barry Lee is writing, as he's listening to me rant, he says, yeah, it seems that they, talking about Oakland politicians, care about their political future rather than the folks who elected them. And Rob Iman says, what up? Money is the root of all evil, he says. Barry Lee says, what's going on in Oakland and in Washington is those electeds care more about their pockets rather than the people. Prime example is the cost of rent should be considered unlawful. I agree. And in Oakland, Eric Guerrero says, now, would you still give $3,000 if they are on drugs? Everybody's on drugs. So, Eric, I mean, what is a drug? Your idea of a drug is someone else's miracle marijuana, which I might add is less expensive than it has been, and could very well save someone from an advance of cancer within their system. So when you say drug, I disagree with the use of the term. I don't view drugs as a pejorative. Everybody has some drug that they're on to make themselves, better in some kind of way. I would revise that thinking. I really would. Now, let's shifting gears and coming back to the NFL draft. That's what I really want to do. But I had to get that out of the way because of, well, the fact that you can't. This is Oakland. This is a national forum, okay? Even though there are only 16 people here, that will change. But this is a national forum. And in fact, you know what? Speaking of the 16 people thing, oh, that'll change. Anyway, but it's also Oakland centered because of the whole relocation jazz. And it is just that, all right? Now, having said that, let's talk about the NFL draft, okay? Let's talk about the NFL draft. And there are people who talk about the most improved teams. I'll tell you the one team that stands out to me as the most improved right off the bat, and that is pure and simple, the Cleveland Browns. There is no way that anyone could tell me that the Cleveland Browns, after having turned over their quarterback situation, in fact, let me see something with respect to that. Let me see what the Cleveland Browns roster looks like now. Cleveland Browns roster. Let's see if they've updated it. What the current roster looks like as of this time, and considering the draft picks you've got in the addition of their NFL draft first round pick quarterback Baker Mayfield. Let's see if they've adjusted their roster to include Mayfield, and they have not. In fact, the person that they have on here is Jahil Metter, 90, Terrence Mitchell. So either, yeah, and they call them, and then they have these unsigned draft picks, all right, and including Nick Chubb, but they don't even have Baker Mayfield on here, which means he's signed. Okay, no, here, Baker Mayfield, all right, Baker Mayfield quarterback. I stand corrected. They have them as listed as unsigned draft picks. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 draft picks that are unsigned, including Baker Mayfield. They have Damon Radley, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Bradley, 6'3", 290. And I think he's going to be an outstanding addition to their squad. If not, if he doesn't make the team, which I doubt, I think among other teams, I think the Arizona Cardinals should really keep a watch on him. But because of the Cardinals' coming needs in that area as we progress. But we've got right now with the Browns, we have C.J. Board at wide receiver. We've got quarterback Tyrod Taylor, of course. And we have, in addition to Tyrod Taylor, of course, at quarterback, what I'm looking to see is what they did with my man, Mr. K, and that's he's not even there anymore. How about that? What am I talking about? Well, okay, folks. Last year, um, your Cleveland Browns made the reach for a man by the name of DeShone Kizer, and then they shipped DeShone Kizer off to the Green Bay Packers. Okay, after just 1 year. So DeShone Kizer is now a Green Bay Packer. Uh, Quarterback. The Browns have completely remade, yeah, their quarterback roster in just 1 year. I mean, consider that within what, a year and a month or so, they had um, DeShone Kizer, they had Cody Kessler at quarterback. They even had, remember they had RG3 for a spell? The Cleveland Browns have been this revolving door of top-notch quarterbacks. So you have all of these quarterbacks in, and they don't deliver. You can't have that many quarterbacks in your stable, and none of them deliver without it being a coaching problem. And that points sadly to Hugh. I never thought I'd say that. I have mentioned it before, but Hugh has got to review how he coaches quarterbacks. In DeShone Kizer's case, on a number of occasions, he threw questionable passes, right? He would overthrow, or he would throw to what he thought was an open receiver downfield on a long pass, a bomb, only the defender was ahead of him to make the interception. Well, that's coaching. So you just simply say, hey, DeShone, if the defender is ahead, just don't bother throwing it. Chances are they didn't tell him that. So he had it in his mind, I'm going to have my receiver make a play for the ball, okay? And what did he get? He got intercepted. And the poor young man, he's not poor, but sadly, the young man only got a chance to be with the Browns once, and he was thrown in under fire. Whereas Hughes says with Baker Mayfield, they're gonna bring him along. We'll see, okay? But I have to say that Hugh is on the clock in a number of ways. You don't go 1-31 without there being a problem. And I have defended Hugh because he has done a great job as offensive coordinator in the past. I mean, as you know, gigantic believer in African Americans as head coaches because society is too quick to slot an African American person as a player. You know, you have to be a running back. You have to be a wide receiver. But then the person's smart and that can coach, right? Hugh knows a lot of offense. But for some particular reason, he has not demonstrated as head coach the kind of effective offense that he has been able to demonstrate as offensive coordinator. He's not the only person with that problem. And I'm not saying, okay, Norv Turner had that problem. Head coach, okay. Offensive coordinator, one of the best in the business in history. There's some people who are better at being offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator than head coach. Maybe that's Hugh's case. We're certainly going to find out this season, aren't we? All right. And Rob Ivan says Kessler went to the Jags. I have him as being with the Packers. If you take right now, I have him as being with the Packers. But let me see if there's if the Packers made a trade that I wasn't aware of, and Packers connection to Cleveland helped Kizer trade, and yeah. So basically, I don't see. No. I'm just double checking because in this crazy world of NFL football, that could have happened, but it didn't happen. And the Browns winless. They traded DeShone Kizer, who started 15 games at quarterback as a team to the Packers in early March, and sent Cody Kessler to the Jaguars 3 weeks later. Okay, so basically, there you go. Baker Mayfield is third on the depth chart because you've got Baker. You've got Tyrod Taylor, and then Brock Osweiler, right? Unless there was a trade there that I wasn't aware of, and let's see here. let's see here. Tyrod Taylor. There. He's going to be third string. And Kaiser. Right. Oh, Drew Stanton. I'm sorry, not Brock Osweiler. Drew Stanton. Brock Osweiler is back. Oh, excuse me, folks. Brock Osweiler was with the Browns. Now he's back with he's back with the Miami Dolphins. Okay, he was with the Cleveland Browns. He's now with the Miami Dolphins. Brock Osweiler has traded teams so much that, and I just did. If you happen to actually search for him on Google, they still have him in his Broncos jersey. All right. So how about that? Because remember, Brock Osweiler started as a Bronco, then he was shipped. Then he was, for a time. I mean, this is without question must be the record for getting bounced around the National Football League, because he started off with the Broncos, then he went to the Houston Texans, and then he went from the Houston Texans to the Cleveland Browns for like a spell, right? And then he went to the Miami Dolphins. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. All right, absolutely crazy. Yeah, he went from the Texans to the Browns to the Broncos, and then to the Dolphins. So he went back. So he went to that's how crazy his career has been, and he hasn't been in the league that long. I mean, he's been with Denver. Started with Denver in 2012, right? 2012 to 2016. Then he went to the Texans. Then he went back to Denver, all right? Then he went to the Browns, okay? And then he went to the Dolphins. That is freaking crazy. All right? It's pinball. It's like, huh? What? No wonder fans can't get invested in a team. How the heck can any fan get invested in any team if you have it's not even a revolving door. It's not even shifting deck chairs. It's quite literally a shell game. Yeah, it's a shell game, because you've got each team is a shell, and you're trying to figure out where the quarterback is. Oh, is he there? Is he there? Where is he? It's a shell game. Wow, you cannot sustain a fan base like that. I'm a big believer in building through the draft. I understand and applaud the free agency system, okay? But if I'm running an organization, I'm building through the draft. If I'm running an organization, I'm making absolutely certain that I have a depth chart that allows me to do this. Next man up, right? Next man up. That's what I'm building, okay? Now, the question is that what the Oakland Raiders are building? No, I think where John is headed, talking about Oakland Raider head coach John Gruden, is in using what I described as Moneyball tactics before, where you spend as little for a player as possible you get the best value for that player based on that player's resume, and you don't spend a lot on that player. As I said the other night, this is a new thing for the Oakland Raiders. They've never done this before, all right? But it is a necessity, folks, and it is not just a necessity. It's a blah 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 necessity, because the Raiders have gotten themselves into so much financial trouble with dead money contracts. And yes, I said it exactly like that. What's a dead money contract? It's where you're still obligated to pay a player that you then let go, or you have players that you're giving gigantic or ginormous signing bonuses to, like Jamarcus Russell, and they didn't pan out and left. Now, the Raiders tried to get their $29 million back from Russell, but look, the Raiders didn't deserve to do that. They had to eat the money. They lost, and that's that. They did with two other players as well. There is a desire to stop doing that, and they want to go more the Patriot way, which is, hey, look, buy into our system. We're giving you a chance. We've saved you, okay? No one else wanted you. We picked you. We're paying you. And that's the message that's being sent to Maurice Hurst. Because that's exactly what happened. That's the message that's been sent to Martavis Bryant, because that's exactly what happened. Is it right? I personally don't think so. I think that you should be able to look at a player and say, look, Cortland Sutton, you're high dollar. We're paying you to come in and be the next modern version of Cliff Branch or Fred Blitnikoff or some combination of both of those great Raider wide receivers, right? So, but we're not seeing that. Okay, having said that, will this work? Also, John is making another statement in coaching staff, and I think it's a very powerful, and it's, look, you guys fluffed off, got the fights on the field, like Michael Crabtree with the key to lead, and basically did your own thing, and you acted like free agents. You know what? And we don't want you. We want people who are going to act right, play, and adopt our version of the Raider way, or you're not going to be here. That's the message that John is sending. It's loud and it's clear. Okay? I happen to believe this. If your schemes are smart, if you are innovative offensively and defensively, players will buy into what you're trying to do because your plays work. And that's true. It doesn't matter if it's NFL football. Heck, it doesn't even matter if it's flag football. The University of Texas at Arlington during the summer, back in 1981, when I was a freshman going into sophomore year at UTA and had just come from Skyline High School, and we started our own flag football team in intramurals. And I had a playbook. And it worked, okay? And we had a coordinated defense, a la the Dallas Cowboys, flex, right? And it worked. So my point is, the people that we got playing with us, and there's some who were college folks, some were off the street, they bought into our system. People just want a plan that works. If you have a plan that works for people, they will fall in line. You don't have to browbeat them. You don't have to yell at them. You don't have to treat them a certain way other than with respect. But if you know what you're doing on the field and it works and it makes them look good, they will follow you to the ends of the earth. That's why scheme and innovation are so important. And a lot of NFL teams miss that. That's why they're missing out on Lamar Jackson. That's why they missed on Deshaun Watson. They want to do things their way. Meanwhile, there are other teams gathering a book on what they do and are very able to stop them very quickly. Watch the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan this year. Watch what happens now that there's this book on what they do with Jimmy Garoppolo. You see if Shanahan adjusts. My prediction, he won't. I'm just saying that straight out. He won't. Okay? So, John Davis said, you mean like we're still playing for Jack Del Rio? John Davis says, I think it's Moneyball now because we're out of money. Yeah. Oscar says, we got Maurice Hurst. And Barry Lee says, yet Brock probably doesn't care because all the money he's making. Talking about Osweiler. Yeah. He's like, I'll pick up a little money here. I'll pick up a little money there. Next. And then Muhammad says, I agree it's about the money, but key to success is in picking players that fit the scheme. Key to success is having a scheme that works, okay? You can tell me that you're going to run the wishbone, and what you tell me about having the player to run the wishbone, my point is the rules don't allow it. So now you've got to change and come up with what? You got to come up with something new, dang it. Plays matter. It's the direction. You can't just put a player out there and expect that they're just going to do their own thing. That's what really annoys me about announcers. They call a game as if a player is drawing up the plays in the dirt for the team to run. And they'll tell you, the announcers will, oh, He should have thrown to this person because that person was wide open. How do you know that wasn't a receiver running a decoy route for an underneath coverage? If you know the game, you can look at the unfolding of play and tell that's the case depending on its design. If you look at the playbook and you look at enough NFL football, you'll see patterns that emerge in your head, get stuck there, and you'll be able to analyze based on what you see. Just go with what you see, okay? A lot of announcers just don't do that. But my point is, you should always, when you are preparing for a game, ask the team to as much as you can, what plays, how did their plays work? Do they have alerts? Do they have decoys running it? Do they have their quarterback and point of fact see the entire field when you and I both know there's not enough time to see the entire field? And think about it. The more time the quarterback is back there trying to, quote, see the entire field, what's happening? It's putting pressure on the offensive line to block. If they can't hold it and it breaks down, it's not their fault. They can't block forever. You have to think. That's why there's some teams that tell their quarterback, hey, go ahead and run, you know, because you want to be able to save your offensive line for the next play. It's called thinking about how your energy, resources, and players is going to be used. All right, enough of me on this. I started to get off on this rant because I'm loaded for bear tonight, and I want to hear more about you now than me, and I'll go back to talking about the teams and see what happens and, you know, everything. John Davis says, sure did. We know how well that went. I thought he was the best pick. Yeah, Hurst was the best pick. Now, my other question is, let's see what, or if we go around the league, who's saying what about who did what and how they did. And we'll start with NFL.com, and they talk about the draft's most improved teams. Now they have a photograph here of the player representatives of the teams they think are the most improved. The Arizona Cardinals, the New York Giants, the Atlanta Falcons, the Dallas Cowboys, the Denver Broncos, and the San Diego Chargers. Note the Oakland Raiders are not listed. Note, of the 6 teams I mentioned, 2 of them are in what? The AFC West. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! And we have to say a salute to the great general manager Ozzie Newsome. This was his final National Football League draft. Final. He's retiring. Okay? And the Cowboys picked up their replacement for Dez Bryant, Tavon Austin. Ooh. Rob Iman just sent out a very questionable, and he's going to say, what are you talking about, Zinni? But I'll explain. Comment. He said that Reggie McKenzie is in trouble. Why is Reggie McKenzie in trouble for a draft that everybody acknowledges was John Gruden's? Okay? You know, I talked with, I'm not going to say who I talked with from ESPN about this, but this is not Reggie McKenzie's draft. And people in sports media know that. It's very important that you know it. Don't tag this as Reggie's. It's not. And if you see someone in media who does that, it's not Reggie's draft. It's not Reggie McKenzie's draft. Okay? That isn't even how they handled it. It's not like the year before, okay? At all. So you can't say that this is Reggie McKenzie's fault. It isn't. This is hanging on a committee. Part John Gruden, part the coaching staff, including Tom Cable, part Reggie McKenzie. This was, and this, you know, the conversation I had with my friends is that it is like it's definitely the NFL draft by committee is how they did it. So you can't blame one person. I know all of you like to have attached names to things, but I would ask you to just say, you know what, the Raider committee screwed up. If they screwed up at all. Because you have to remember something. And I said this before, and I defend the fan point of view in this. You guys and gals want to see an NFL draft that consists of players that you have some familiarity with in college that came over to the Raiders. Because then you could say, oh yeah, I know that person. They played in this bowl game and they did this. Oh, I know, you get the idea. Or even if you didn't see them, they come from a school that has a track record of success that you're familiar with. You know what, folks? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And as Rob Iman correctly pointed out, Reggie McKenzie is a convenient scapegoat. It's not his fault. No, he's not. It's not. Joseph Binsman says he's really happy with this Giants draft. Solid picks throughout. Offensive line is definitely going to rise from the ashes. Look, the Giants did what they were supposed to do. They took the best player available. They really did. They took the best player available. Pure and simple. Once again, they took the best player available. And, what can you say? I'll repeat it. They took the best player available, who happened to be, by some accounts, the best team. All right? Now, there's some people who are saying that the Philadelphia Eagles had the best NFL draft of all time. And in general, we have, let's see here. In terms of the most improved teams according to NFL, we've got, okay, this is by Greg Rosenthal. And 3 days, and we have had 256 picks. Now, stay tuned, folks, because sometimes the NFL pages don't open quickly, so I'm going to mouth my way through this. How about Shaquem Griffin, though? Isn't that a heck of a story? Ooh, boy. All right. The New York Giants, they say it's hard to question. This is what the NFL.com's Greg Rosenthal is saying, that it's hard to... They love David Gettleman. I think they just love saying his name. They said that it's hard to question they made the right choice. Of course he made the right choice with Saquon Barkley. Then it said that they got third-round nose tackle B.J. Hill, who is reminiscent of Linval Joseph. And then they said that it was the mission statement draft. Let me put it this way. Out of this draft has to come a 1,000-yard rusher. And I think it's safe to say that Saquon Barkley is that guy if they run the right scheme that allows him to be that guy. Arizona Cardinals, and they point to Steve Keim as the GM, saying that he had the most difficult task of any general manager, and that is construct the second year of franchise success under a new head coach, Steve Wilkes. Okay? All right, fine. And they said that with Josh Rosen, he's off to a great start. I think he would have been off to a better start with Lamar Jackson, myself. And Dallas Cowboys, they say, is another one that came away. They said they got linebacker Leighton Van Der Echt. And I disagree. They could have had Cortland Sutton rather than that linebacker, but they didn't pull the trigger. Then they say the Chicago Bears, Tennessee Titans, and Green Bay Packers. The Bears, I like the Bears draft. I really do. I mean, look, they got Roquan Smith, and they got Iowa center. So in the trenches, the Bears really did really well. And then Atlanta Falcons, you have to commend them on who they brought in, among others. Calvin Ridley as wide receiver is, look, he's going to be the instant speed difference maker for them, because as much as I like Julio Jones, to me, Julio is more your fast possession receiver rather than your clear breakaway threat. Now, can you imagine a 3 wide receiver offense where they have on one side, let's say you have 3 wide receivers on one side, tight end here, you've got split in Mohamed Sanu, flanker right here, Julio Jones, and then on the wing, as I call him this the wing position, Calvin Ridley. Woo! And Calvin Ridley, can you imagine Calvin Ridley running a circle pattern out of that one, or whether a wheel route out of that. Woo! I mean, or just putting him in motion the other side and sending him on a go route after play action. Woo! A lot of great possibilities that man opens up. I mean, a ton of them, okay? And then I like the Bucks. To me, the Buccaneers had, other than the Cleveland Browns, one of the most transformative drafts because they got Vita Vea. Now think about this. The Buccaneers have an entirely rebuilt defensive line. They have, in fact, not only do they have an entirely rebuilt defensive line, all right, but they have a situation now where the excuse me, whew, trying to catch my breath here. They have a situation now where they've given Mike Smith, who I thought should have been fired myself, who is their defensive coordinator. They've given him some new tools, a new defensive line. Jason Pierre-Paul, right? Gerald McCoy, who's the veteran, Vita Vea, and Vinnie Green from the Eagles. So JPP comes from the Giants. Vita Vea is the new superstar from Washington. And then, of course, Vinnie Green is the super effective defensive end from the Eagles. They constitute the new Tampa Bay Buccaneers line, 3/4 rebuilt. 3/4 rebuilt. Paired with a great set of young linebackers. And then they went DBs all over the place in the later rounds. Solid DBs at 6'1" who can hit. That's what they did. So you've got to watch out for the Bucs defense this year. Mike Smith is on notice. If he can't get it done, they don't go to the playoffs. If they don't go to the playoffs, Dirk Carter gets shipped off. Sayonara. That's it. I feel sorry for Jameis Winston because, you need that stability. But on the other hand, the Bucs have enough personnel. So let me put it this way. The Buccaneers have had enough personnel to have been in the Super Bowl by now, okay? I will repeat that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had enough good personnel, good NFL players, to have been in the Super Bowl by now. They should have been there last year. Instead, their on-the-field performance was awful because their game plans were awful because their schemes were terrible. They were just bad. Hey, look, I gave Dirk Carter an excellent play to use. He didn't use it. All right? Gave him to him at the NFL annual meeting last year. A really cool design of a combination of inside fake and then channel pass down the middle. But, I digress. I gave you a perfect game plan and you blew it. He didn't even use it. So anyway, yeah, I did say Vinnie Curry, I thought I said. I meant to say Vinnie Curry, Joseph. Anyway, yeah, it's all we know it. Look, Joseph Ben says way too early to tell. We all know it's way too early to tell. But gee, it's so much fun to talk about this stuff. And then it just is. And Joseph Ben says, yep, they being the Bucs drafted tough hitting corners. The Bucs will have a heck of a defense. Mohammed says Buffalo made great picks. I thought the Raiders missed it. The Raiders basically got people no one ever heard of, and when they did get someone you heard of, it was that person had either a heart condition or a drug problem, right? And lest you think I'm being funny, check the news. I'm only telling the truth. I'm only telling the truth. So, Lonely says, why is everyone saying Reggie is done? Because they're stupid. Because they're basing this on, and as I said, this is going to happen. His title's as GM, he gets stuck with a strategy that the head coach asked for. If you listen to anything that he has said, Reggie McKenzie has told you, this coaching staff has a vision. What does that tell you? That is Reggie McKenzie's way of saying, hey, look, that ain't my vision. It's very sly. That ain't my vision. It's their vision, okay? It's their vision. I picked up on that loud and clear. I mean, loud and clear. It ain't my vision. It's their vision. He didn't say, we have a vision that I'm very excited about. He said, they have a vision that's quite impressive and interesting. Them. He is just the messenger, one of the people that helped build and craft around that vision. But it's not, he was quite clear, it's not his vision, folks. He told you that. He told you. He said, he gave you as clear a message that is not his draft, without saying it, Reggie McKenzie did, as you could ever want. There it is, right? So, Ricky McDonald says, I just don't understand Lane Crabb and Kingo because of character issues, and then we go and trade for Bryant, player who strikes against their record, drafting a key player with drug issues. And then Rob Iman says that Reggie McKenzie will walk away from the Raiders next season. That's his prediction. Joseph Binsman says, Antonio Gates is a free agent. Wonder who he will go to. My Giants might want to offer him a year deal to be on the opposite side of Ingram. That's a great idea. Pride and Poise, how you doing? Pride and Poise offers that the Jags defense will be top-notch this year. Watch out for them. Oh, by the way, when I was talking about Las Vegas update, tomorrow is the release of the March visitor statistics for Las Vegas and Clark County hotels. Pivotal, and here's why. A year ago, March was the highest month in the short history of the collection of the Oakland Raiders Las Vegas UNLV hotel stadium tax ever. That brought in just over $5 million, and folks, they've never seen that kind of money since. Meanwhile, as I've told you before, visitor statistics have been down each month compared to the month of the previous year, 2017, or if you like, 2016, going into this, rolling back, all right, for 9 months. The question is, and I'm going to repeat that, all right, between February, okay, less than 2018, less than 2017, January 2018, less than 2017, December, November, October, September, August, July, June, all those months, all less in terms of visitors than their months of the year before. The question is, will March continue that trend? Or will it be an upward tick? This is a major, major red letter day tomorrow. Okay? My prediction? I don't know. But the way things are going, I doubt it. Having visited Vegas in March, was really struck by how empty Las Vegas felt outside the sports, Las Vegas Sevens rugby and convention, not much going on, activity, okay? Then we had Daytona, we had Las Vegas Motor Speedway going on. You did have hockey, all right? But you didn't have that before. So it could, let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens. I'm prepared to say that just that, because I really don't know what to expect. The trend points downward. Let's see what happens. For the Stadium Authority, if the visitors' statistics in March were better than last year, then the next question would be, Does that mean they'll clear more than 5 million again? That would be a major turning point. That would be, I have to admit, that would be surprising. Because structurally, it doesn't look like that should happen. But if we do have a situation, we have 10 straight months of lower than the previous year visitor statistics, Las Vegas, you got a problem. You got a problem. I mean, there are problems around. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Cosmopolitan, as pointed out by my friend, who runs Vita Vegas, Vita Vegas is a great Las Vegas blog, not named Las Vegas Focus blog. Now, why would you say? You would say, Zinni, why do you mention Las Vegas Focus blog? Well, because it happens to be the blog that I own. At any rate, he says this. He says that the Union is the Palms are about to go in Union, and that then he says, this is what he says. He says, look, another red flag at Cosmopolitan. Many high-limit players have had credit lines reduced or canceled. Players being told to wire everything in. You hear what I'm saying? You want me to repeat that? Yikes. This was today, 4:29 p.m. Yikes. Another red flag at Cosmopolitan. Many high-limit players have had credit lines reduced or canceled. Players being told to wire everything in. And then he adds, last I heard, this was 3 hours ago, they weren't interested anymore. But credit for high-limit players, he writes, has been halted, and VIPs have to requalify. Plus, Mandarin Mystery. There's something going on. And I asked, Mandarin Mystery? He says, they've said they're selling, but not who's buying. Ooh. And now, it's, this other guy says, too much crazy going on right now in Las Vegas. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. And an informed reader responds, without proper cash on hand to meet regulations, they are in trouble for sure. It would appear that they have serious management problems. Anytime a casino starts requiring high rollers to wire in funds up front, it's a sign of too much bad paper. Credit lines overextended. Either that's a major deal hotel. So let's think about this in totality. We have MGM just coming out of bankruptcy. We've got the Cosmopolitan having problems with its high roller players. We've got Macau growing, China growing, keeping its high roller players. We've got the not high roller players who are slot machine people not coming like they used to. All this points toward a downward trend overall. What does this impact? It impacts demand for luxury boxes. You see I'm going with this, don't you? For football. Okay? If the Raiders come in and start winning, will that make a difference? To the extent that the Golden Knights have taken off? Not to as great a deal because of the price points, the travel, the number of seats. In other words, it's more expensive for football than hockey. Las Vegas is a unique, homegrown example. Go Sharks! That you can't just replicate by moving a football team there. I'm not saying it won't be exciting when the stadium opens in 2021. Yeah, I did say that. But if the Raiders start off and they're not winning, ugh. Okay, but anyway, the bottom line is that there's some serious business problems here. The Cosmopolitan doesn't have cash to adequately service its high rollers. And and you've got that, and then of course you got the Palms going Union. And oh, and by the way, the MGM portfolio, it says here this is another property for the MGM portfolio. Maybe the Sands gets it. I don't know. I think you got to watch this one. You got to watch this one. As this guy says, that seems like a big ass problem. Didn't the Cosmo get bought and Solo not too long ago? Looks like the beginning and the end of the current situation. He's got this cat falling from the. Interesting stuff. And well, here's more on the Cosmopolitan. Concerning chatter out of Cosmopolitan, this is also from Vital Vegas, including a significant number of layoffs and other cutbacks. Casino described as running on fumes, with career floor supervisors fearing for their jobs. That was also today, okay? That was also today. And his follow-up tweet is, surprising given how they have made such a concerted effort to make the casino profitable, talking about the minders of the Cosmopolitan. Hotel I love, by the way. Staff seems to think the only way out staff seems to think the only way out is a sale of the resort. Ooh, wow. Wow. Just another one responds, the Cosmopolitan has spent a lot anticipating a sale, which I'm sure has depleted cash. But the problem is keeping guests and visitors on property, improving gaming and entertainment options will go a long way in keeping guests from leaving and enticing visitors to stay longer. But see, I wonder how much of this is a visitation problem overall that Las Vegas is suffering from, in addition to its own management issues. So keep an eye on the Cosmopolitan situation there, folks. That is obviously not a good look, and then brings up this question: how much of the Cosmopolitan problem is of bad management or a turn in the Las Vegas economy, or some combination of both? And what percentage is that combination, right? All of this impacts demand for luxury boxes and suites, sponsorships with respect to that new stadium the Raiders are trying to build. And I might remind you that the Raiders do not have, and they have a job opening for, a construction manager. It's right there on the Las Vegas stadium site. All right. So, oh, everybody says keep up the work. Thank you. Thank you. Donna says, and a potential lawsuit in the city of Oakland, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that is on life support right now, because I don't sense that there is a serious collective interest in pursuing anything. You've got Nate Miley has an interest, Rob Bonta has an interest, Rebecca Kaplan in the city of Oakland has an interest, Noel Gaio has an interest, and then Dan Kalb has an interest. So you count votes, you got 4 city council persons. You need 5, okay, on the Oakland side. The Alameda County side, I only hear from Nate. But you have a group there that, look, collectively between the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda, we don't have a convention center at all. We don't have any public building built by the public whose development, even if it was privately owned for the most part, was catalyzed by the public to show at all in a long, long time. I mean, the last time in the Oakland context I can think of us actually really doing something had to do with, well, getting Yoshi's down to Jack London. Of course, there was the expenditures around the new city hall after the earthquake. There was the Elihu Harris State Building, which is the state of California. There's our getting the federal government. We beat out San Francisco for the federal building that's downtown, but that was a long time ago, back in the mid 80s. We ran that deal, okay, and mid 80s going to the late 80s. But of late, what do we got? We got nothing. We don't have a new convention center. We don't have a new economic development project that we've done, other than Oakland Global on West Oakland, which is under construction. And the city seems poised to mess with that one with the whole coal issue, which they knew was coming. Now some of the elected officials act like they didn't know at all, when documents prove they did know. All right? So I am not a fan of how Oakland is doing things at all. So what you're hearing is my frustration with the system, as much as any insider knowledge. So and it is a frustration with the system. So yeah, Rob Iman says maybe the A's sue the Raiders for Mountain Davis. Donna says, what if I make a phone call? Just kidding. Hey, you know what? Why not? Barry Lee says, you combine the cosmopolitan problems with the fact that fans have to pay for PSLs, not including the actual tickets, and that's a problem for the Raiders. Yeah, Black Lion Supreme says the Oakland Raider fans are the only ones that can stop the Vegas deal from happening. That's true. That's true. Now, let's go back to, discussing the NFL draft, as I was doing. I'm kind of shifting gears here, going bouncing along efficiently from one subject to the other. Would you say? Well, I would say, right? Okay. The Buccaneers. GM Jason Licht traded down in the first round to take defensive tackle Vita Vea, number 12. Continued an off-season long obsession with his defensive line. The Bucs' Eagles-like approach should make their beleaguered secondary look better, although Licht did his best to fortify the cornerback position with 2 second-round picks, M.J. Stewart and Carlton Davis, then running back Ronald Jones. This is what's exciting me. Lee Steinberg's client, Ronald Jones out of USC, the number 38th overall, is going to be a huge difference maker and just maybe one of the sleepers of the draft we talk about this season. I mean, this guy comes out of USC, okay? And Ronald Jones is the most explosive runner the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have ever had, all right? Out of Southern Cal. He's 6 feet, 200 pounds, 20 years old, okay? And went to McKinley, Texas North High School. Ronald Jones, let's see if what kind of news he's made here. I'm excited about this guy, and that's why I said I felt the Bucs had one of the best drafts, because of Ronald Jones. All right, and get this, he's only fumbled once in 591 carries, once for USC. Okay, just once, and he was thought to go in the mock draft to the Lions at one point in the first round. It didn't happen. But Ronald Jones the second. Let me see what he finished his USC career in terms of yards. Let me see what comes up here. Ronald Jones USC yards. Okay. Ronald Jones stats. Trojans. Ronald Jones 2015, 16, and 17. He had 9 187 yards in 2015, 1,082 yards in 2016, and then 1,486 yards. That's improvement in last year, 2017. His per carry average was always over 6 yards, 6.5, 6.1, 6.1. Longest gains, 74 yards, 66 yards, and 86 yards last year, 18 touchdowns. That's rushing. That's rushing. Receiving out of the backfield, best receiving year was last year, 187 yards. So he put on over about 1,600 yards total offense to the Bucks. He brings that to the Bucks from the Trojans last year, among others. So they've got themselves the weapon they never had. The Buccaneers have never had a breakaway back. It's been a long time. Not never. They had Mr. Bell way back when they lost all those games, okay? But that was a different type of team. So, let's see here. Ricky McDonald says, regarding the Raiders, I hope Tom Cable can get the O-line on the right track and develop these new guys. Black Lion says, I love Switzer. He will make a lot of plays for the Raiders. Invite says, we were smart to reunite KMP of Gators. That should build chemistry and make up for the loss of Marquette King. And Mickey McDonald, you're right. The wide receiver depth is insane. Invite says, I think Jod's going to be a beast with the good defense coaching. Yep, I agree. Now, Donis says, would they listen to someone who has cerebral palsy? You say laugh out loud. Donis has cerebral palsy. My answer is yes. You're very well respected. So, and don't ever think you are not. Now, ever in this life or the next life, never discount your value, okay? Who else? What else is the buzz about the draft and how people did, or how well folks did? Let me just try Oakland Raiders draft review. See what others are saying. Let's see if these guys are really, hey, look. Raiders draft review, blocking a priority, character not so much. That's the Las Vegas Review-Journal. That's their headline. NFL draft grades, who won the draft. Let's see here. And let's see here. Anybody who associates high character guys with the Oakland Raiders doesn't know the history of the Raiders. Now, scrolling down. Falcons, Cardinals, Ravens, Bills, Panthers. I'm scrolling down to the Raiders. They're getting Browns B, Dallas Cowboys got a B minus. You know what? I'm just gonna read. I'm gonna go through here and read for you the grades that were handed out. If you might be wondering where mine, considering that I've covered the draft 14 years, I don't like doing grades. And the reason I don't is because, look, of the 9 people you bring in from the draft, you're not going to see a situation where all 9 of those players stick around even before the season starts. I'll give you an example. The Raiders drafted a young man out of Arkansas in the 4th round at quarterback, and when they brought in, I believe it was the year they brought in Derek Carr, 2014. And this gentleman, let me get his name because it just flew off my head. Oakland Raiders, QB, Arkansas, and Tyler Wilson. Yeah, that's it, Tyler Wilson. Tyler Wilson, I believe, is out of football. But it was actually 2012, 2013 that he was brought in to the NFL draft. And I don't see before the season started, he wound up on the practice squad. He was the 4th round pick. So my point is that how can you give draft grades now if you don't know if the picks are even going to make it onto the field as part of the 53-man roster as opposed to the practice squad? So I think the best approach is to give a verbal evaluation of, yeah, I like what they did, and here's what it looks like. But to give an overall absolute grade at this stage, no. I completely object. That said, I'll read it anyway. Okay, now, here we are. With NFL draft grades by Dan Kadar. So remember, blame Dan Kadar, Kadar. Arizona Cardinals, he gives them an A-. The Atlanta Falcons, he gives them a B. Ravens, he gives an A. Smart. I mean, you have to give them you have to with Lamar Jackson. That's a steal. The steal of the draft as far as I'm concerned. Buffalo Bills, B-. Carolina Panthers get a B. Chicago Bears he gives them a B+, I give them an A. Well, there I go. I violated my thing. I like the Bears draft picks, okay? Bengals, B+. Cleveland Browns, he gives them a B-. Dallas Cowboys, he gives a B+. Denver Broncos gives a B+. Detroit Lions gives a B. Green Bay Packers, he gives a B-. Houston Texans gives a C+. The Colts are a B. Jaguars are B. Oh, this is B. You know what B stands for? B stands for bullshit evaluation. That's what this is. He gives Kansas City Chiefs D+, LA Chargers B+, LA Rams C, Miami Dolphins A-, Minnesota Vikings B, New England Patriots B-. See? Gives the Saints a C+, the Giants he gives an A-. The New York Jets he gives a B. The Oakland Raiders get D+. Ooh, and okay. Says John Gruden's first draft as an NFL coach was strange. It began by trading down from number 10 to 15 to take UCLA left tackle Colton Miller. He's a solid prospect, but he needs a lot of work. Hopefully it can happen in a hurry because Donald Penn had just turned 35. This is where I said the year before the Raiders should have drafted Cam Robinson. Had Reggie McKenzie listened to me at the NFL annual meeting of 2017, Cam Robinson would have been a Raider and an All-Pro. Donald Penn would not have held out for more money. Okay, just saying. Then he says, they said the Raiders opened the 3rd round by taking North Carolina A&T offensive tackle Brandon Parker. He's an obviously talented player, but raw as well. Can line coach Tom Cable do in Oakland what he struggled to do in Seattle the past few seasons? Edge rusher Arden Key was another puzzling choice. He is a situational pass rusher who needs to get much stronger in the National Football League. He has some off-the-field issues, which caused him to fall to 87th overall. Moneyball. The Raiders also used a pick on Wisconsin cornerback Nick Nelson, who may not play this season due to injury. Moneyball. The best choice Oakland has made were on the defensive line. In the 2nd round, they picked up disruptive Sam Houston State PJ tackle PJ Hall, defensive tackle PJ Hall. I'm not excited, but because of that squat nose tackle style of guy that, I mean, if he's, on the other hand, if he is as quick off the ball as they say, I'm happy to be wrong. But I want to see that in a 4-man front. I don't want to see him at nose tackle being asked to 2-gap, which Gruden says isn't going to. If that's the case, maybe this turns out to be a better pick than I thought. Then in the 5th round, they stopped the free fall of Maurice Hurst. The Raiders are suddenly disruptive up the middle. I agree. But the overall grade is D+. Philadelphia Eagles get a B+. Pittsburgh Steelers get a C-. The San Francisco, what is up with that? The Steelers got their quarterback of the future. They got Mason Rudolph. What is this bugga talking about? He says, for 6 years in a row, the first pick of the Steelers came on the defensive side of the ball. It was a shock to see Terrell Edmunds get taken in the first round by Pittsburgh. No one saw that coming, but Edmunds can come downhill and can cover. Still, the value is questionable. I disagree with that. When you start off your evaluation with that, I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. Forget it. 49ers gives them B minus. Seattle Seahawks C. Tampa Bay Buccaneers B minus. They get an A, you idiot. All right, Tennessee Titans B. Washington Redskins A. So there you go. But the Raiders get a D plus. That's one evaluator. Let's see who else is talking. Oh God. John Gruden on Raiders criticism of Raiders picks. Screw you. That's essentially what he's saying. Screw you. Oh my God. Let's see here. Oh boy. Oakland Raiders draft analysis for every pick. ESPN blog. I'm not going to read all that. Last word on pro football. Oakland Raiders draft review. Let's see. I don't know what the last word is all about. Let's see what Giovanni Matano says here. I'm just going to get to the meat of it because this is all right. It says the best players Arden Key. The head scratcher is doubling down on tackles. The surprise is Azim Victor. Said that he's Maurice Hurst is definitely the steal. I agree. Most likely to turn heads in training camp, P.J. Hall. 6'1", 310 pounds. He's a bowling ball of a man. Plays the game with the same violent intensity. Said he set a D1 AA record for tackles for losses, 86.5, and blocked kicks with 14, and he recorded 42 sacks. His lack of competition in small school status kept him out of the combine, but as pro day, he wowed scouts with his 4.740-yard dash and 38-inch vertical. Whoa. Okay. You know what? Just reading that right there, I'm wrong. I want to give this guy a chance. Okay. So, but overall, that doesn't mean I'm happy with the draft that the Raiders did. I don't believe basing your draft on players that you think you can get for cheap because they're injured is a great strategy. If you can only afford so many players, then you know what? Instead of just doing that, just look in the free agency market. But again, it's about scheme. What the heck kind of scheme are you running? That's all, okay? Bottom line. He said, Oakland addressed many of their needs in this draft. Many of the picks are quite risky and could go either way. This was the epitome of a boom or bust draft for the Raiders. I agree with that assessment. Many of the picks are raw and will need a great deal of coaching to reach their potential. It was clear the Raiders had a game plan. The trenches on both sides of the ball appear to have gotten stronger. Oakland prioritized their franchise players, Derek Carr and Khalil Mack, and don't forget Marshawn Lynch, because the Raiders didn't take a running back. You realize that? There's no running back taken. They basically left Marshawn Lynch a protected class, as opposed to bringing in, Darius Geis or anybody else who was falling. I thought maybe the Raiders would just pick him up. Oh, his attitude is wrong. It can't be that bad. My goodness. Anytime you hear someone talking about someone's attitude in the NFL draft being bad, 50% of the time that is a disgruntled agent who has been fired by his player. Just saying. Beware. Beware, all right? Beware. He says, time will tell if this draft was good for Oakland. If these picks pan out on the Raiders, they will get back to just winning, baby. Mitch Akers of the Las Vegas Review-Journal asked me via Twitter how many of the draft picks I thought would make it to Las Vegas. I'll give you an answer, too. Colton Miller's definitely going to make it 3. Well, he's not a draft pick. Colton Miller, Maurice Hurst, and P.J. Hall, okay, are the ones that will make it. Those three. Martavius Bryant I count as a trade. All right. Okay, folks, it's 2 o'clock. I am going to sign off. Sorry about the mix-up where we didn't have Oakland Councilman Noel Gaio on, but we'll get him. We'll get him back. All right. Any thoughts going out the door? Let's see here. It says the Raiders have 4 running backs on the roster currently with Lynch. Yeah, but they don't have enough, okay? Bell says that Packers had the best draft overall. And Joseph Business says, who would you say had your favorite draft, Zinni? Oh, the Buccaneers without question. Because they got Vita Vea and Ronald Jones II. They addressed 2 very powerful needs. They got a defensive tackle that I believe will be the second coming of Warren Sapp for them. And they got a breakaway running back that in their history they haven't had since the 70s. Okay. So that's huge for them. Now I never viewed Doug Martin as a breakaway back. I've always viewed Doug Martin as the kind of back that can get you, 3 yards if you need a yard. He can get you 3 yards if you need 6. He can get you 3 yards if you need 5. He can get you 3 yards. That's how I look at Doug Martin. There's no slight on Doug Martin. He's definitely effective. And he's a Raider. But in his younger years, they called him a muscle hamster, and he did have that breakaway speed and everything, right? But right now, unless he gets a hold of a miracle steroid or something, I don't see that happening for the Raiders from Doug Martin. I do see it happening from Marshawn Lynch because he did it last year, but he's also 32. And the Raiders need to have that running back that can be that spark plug, that guy that is next man up next year. See? So this is, overall, it's not the greatest feeling. I mean, it's the old saying, if it doesn't quite feel right, then maybe it's not. And right now, with respect to what the Raiders are doing overall, to me, it doesn't quite feel right. Note, it doesn't quite feel right. All right, stay tuned. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right? And don't... Black Lion has a note for us. He says, don't sleep on Nick Nelson. He is an undercover beast. Okay? And Mimpy says we should go after Lattimore last year. I agree with you there. So anyway, I hope that answers your questions. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Cornerback, 5 foot. Got it. Got it. Thank you very much, everybody. You all are fantastic as usual. You can also still invest in Zinni 62, by the way. See you tomorrow. All right. Take care. See you. Good night, everybody.